the phone is one of the biggest weapons in business, and you have such an advantage if you're willing to get comfortable using that weapon over many of your peers, certainly, and definitely over some of your competitors.
If we think about how powerful it is, it's so simple to analyze and say, well, hey, I got back to the client, I sent them an email, I did my part. Well,
Yep.
that to me just signifies that you don't know human nature, right? The amount of times where I send an email, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, my brain tells me, yeah, I'm done, job done. That is just not true. I mean, when you're in a client facing business, basically, if you interface with any other human on the opposite side of the transaction, which is basically all transactions, then you know that there's a million different priorities competing for the thing that you're trying to get to break through the noise. An email is very likely not going to do it. An email can be more of like a cover your bases, but that's table stakes, right? Just to say, to make sure like an email is better than nothing. But a phone call is 100 times better, in my opinion, oftentimes than sending an email. There's
Yeah.
just more texture. Now, to be fair, I do believe that there's nothing better than one sitting knee to knee with somebody face to face, breaking bread, going through all those dimensions of connections and so on. I'm not confused on that. But the reality is the commute that it takes to get you there, the extra time, right? All of those things, it starts to it starts to equalize the value equation. Whereas like, okay, there's going to be a certain amount of volume of phone calls that I could make that would start to exceed the value of one meeting with a client, let's say. So honestly, I could probably get done. I don't know, Colin, what do you think? Probably 15 to 20 phone calls, maybe even more in the same time that I go to one lunch with one client. So at some point, there's that equilibrium break. And then also, there's something inherent about phone calls relative to like sitting face to face with somebody that there's an efficiency component that's naturally implied in the platform itself. If you and I go out to lunch, it'd be really weird for us to spend 12 minutes together. Minimum, we're probably sitting there for 45 minutes versus the phone call. It's not weird to have a 12-minute phone call. What's your perspective?
Yeah, well, I think to that exact point, especially for the folks that would be listening to this podcast, right? The and entrepreneurs, people that are running businesses or aspire to run a business and want holistic wealth, right? They tend to prefer shorter conversations, right? Because they prioritize action. So as nice as it is to take a client out to dinner, right, or to have that face-to-face meeting, a lot of the people that would be interested in this conversation prioritize action over the intimacy of sitting next to you, right? So I think getting down to, hey, what do we need to accomplish, and how can we tackle this in the most efficient manner? The phone is such a great tool for that. And the situation that I was just discussing, my client's actually in Oklahoma. I'm in Ohio. So what I can't develop in that face to face, sitting next to you type meeting, I better make sure that I prioritize things like the phone call and not the email exchange back and forth, because that intimacy touch is absolutely lost because of geographical boundaries, right? Or barriers there. So I know the result of it though, right? She was extremely happy. The touch meant way more than the email, and now we get to discuss, hey, what are the options? What's the path forward to helping your family out, to insulating yourself from the risk that she was specifically looking to hedge.